This video is going to be all about how to make your own fingerboard from home and what materials you'll need and how to actually execute this. Now, I know this looks like a lot. You might say, oh, I don't have any of that stuff, but bear with me. Hold on. We'll get there. So I'm just going to kind of bring you through my process. I've made fingerboards since I was probably 14. I went to the lumber store today, and my account from middle school was still on file. So that's how long it's been. But I'm very familiar with this process. I know what I'm doing. So I think I'm a good candidate to kind of show you, because I haven't really seen many videos like this online. So let's dive in. Enough yapping. First off, materials that you will need. So number one is one of these clamps. This is a very important part of it because it actually will be the thing that holds the mold. I'll give you the top view of it right here as well. These clamps are pretty much a household item. If you don't have it, they're rather inexpensive. You can go to Home Depot. It has to look like this. Also, hit that subscribe button if you're new here. I'd really appreciate that. Next up, you will need a fingerboard mold. Show the top camera. Looks like that. These are rather difficult to find. Reason being, I went through trials and tribulations of making these. I made one right here strictly out of Bondo, just by wrapping cardboard around and putting a fingerboard, like a little tech deck right there, and using that and having that as a two-piece. Now you can see my top piece here is actually Bondo. My bottom piece is wood. This wood piece I bought off of eBay just like this, all by itself. I then took Bondo and I put a piece of tinfoil right here, and I poured Bondo on top and let that mold to the shape of this. That way when I have a mold, I have a top piece and a bottom piece that then will go between that clamp that I just showed you. I'll show this camera right there. There it is. All right, that's what it looks like. So if you're just starting out, you want something a little bit more simple, you can go the good old Bondo method, which is a two-piece Bondo clamp. The only problem is the top one will start to corrode after a while. So it is nice to have a good wooden one. But if you want to go the cheap way, Bondo, having this one and then the top piece, which would be identical to this, essentially, just the right piece for this, would be great. Now, I will be selling some of these on a little online store. So if you do want to get one by the end of the video, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to push you to get it. I make these for fun. I'm going to put them at a lower price than you'd probably typically find them. Next thing, you will need wood glue. Right here I have Titebond original wood glue. This is just not like fingerboard glue or anything like that. This is just typical wood glue. You buy Home Depot. This is under $5, or any hardware store for that matter. Next thing you want to buy is lacquer. Show the top camera. Looks like this. I've also previously bought polyacrylic, a protective finish, clear satin ultra fast drying. Looks like this. Boom, boom. Both of these are great. Now, I do prefer the clear lacquer because this one is actually nice because you can just take something, dip the fingerboard in at the end and pull it out rather than spray it, because sometimes the spray finish can get uneven and involves a lot of different sanding and all sorts of things to smooth out areas you messed up. But you can also argue the other thing, I suppose, and say that this would then have drips and you'd have to clean that up. So you can really go either way. I just like the fact that I can dip it, let the drips dry off, and then I'm in good hands there. But we'll get into that as the video goes on. You might not know what I'm talking about yet. By the way, lacquer, this usually runs, I don't know, I think you can find it 10 to 15 bucks somewhere. Now this is where I've upgraded the process a little bit, and I, a long time ago, got a belt sander. This has a circular sander on it right here, and a top sander so I can side the sides and do the rounded edges. Now, the cheaper way that I once did this would be, we'd have the typical regular belt sander, or when I first started doing this, I even just took a really tough grit sanding block and I just kept sanding and sanding till I got the edges down. This one in particular I think was $135. So you're gonna be in the upper 100, 150, which is again why if you don't feel like making this, you want one of these, I'm offering that, but I'm not going to push you to buy it. I would highly suggest looking into this. Otherwise, you're going to be manually sanding, which you can do. Just buy a really tough grit block of sandpaper and just sand the crap out of it. But you'll see what I'm talking about when I get there. Next up, this. I went and bought a bunch of this morning. What is this, right? This is VENEER plies. Right here I bought a bunch of different ones. I bought a black one, a zebra wood. I'm not sure what this one's called. This has a cool look to it. There's another one of the black ones. This one has another like sort of wavy finish on it. It looks really cool. This one also just is a like cherry wood, I think it was called. It's really cool looking. This one has a bunch of bizarre looking lines on it. It looks really cool. I bought all sorts of finishes because I want to make something really cool in this video and show you guys what the final product looks like. This one is the purple wood. It's like a dyed veneer ply, and the classic maple, which is always great to have for multiple reasons. Maple is going to be a crucial one to have in the process. Some of the cheaper plies, actually, as you start to divulge into all these different color veneer plies, you'll find out they get more pricey as they look different and things like that, which is why I might have to sell a couple of these for a few bucks more, because just like one of these plies was like 30 bucks because it's that expensive. But on the lower end of things, like some of this, like the maple, tends to be cheaper. Like I got a whole sheet of this maple for like 10 bucks. You can get some sheets of this for like 8. This is essentially just a veneer ply. You can get this from a local lumber store. I went over to Owl Lumber, which is in Lombard, Illinois. If you're not in Illinois, you can search lumber store on your phone. It'll show you where the nearest one is. And if you find the right one, they'll have the right veneer plies. But just tell them, I mean, look how thin this is. I'll show this camera, and then I'll show this camera. Just tell them their thinnest veneer ply. That's what you want. If you grab it and you really can't like flex it much, that's the wrong stuff. You want the stuff that feels like you're going to break it when you grab it. That feels very fragile. That's really it as far as the supplies. I mean, I guess I have like a little wire here to then hang the board from when it gets towards the end. Now, I will say this process does take 8 hours total. The quickest part is what we're about to do. The long stretch of time is the overnight drying process for the wood once it gets in the clamp. So you'll see what that's like. But that's all the supplies. Let's get into the actual execution part of this. First things first, you're going to have your mold right here. You then want to pick out which plies you want. Now, please pay extra close attention here. I'm going to show you this in the best way I possibly can. See this wood right here? See how the plies are going this way? If you look at it even closer, you can see the wood grain running this way. That's how you know. Not just because of the design. Some designs run this way, but the plies go that way. You have to look at which way the wood grain is running. The best way to do this is a method called cross-plying. Now you're going to say, what is cross-plying, right? Well, that's why I got kind of 2 sheets of maple going right here. So cross-plying, when you're doing this, you always want to make sure that your top layer is running this way, and then the middle layers are going to run vertical against the wood grain, right? Now, why do you do that? Because it's how it holds together more and it won't break. That is really why. That is the toughest way to possibly make these the most professional way to do this. Any skateboard that you've ever ridden in your life is not made like plies all running this way. If they were all running this way, look at how easily that would, it would come out, it would be rubber. I've made boards like this, and I've made the mistake, so don't think you can cheat yourself around it and go, I just have a bunch of ones that run that way, I can do it. No, do not do that. Please cross-ply. Cross-plying gets tricky because it can make you shorter on wood, but I think we're going to cross-ply these maple plies here. So, let's pick out which bottom ply we want here. Oh, let's do this. Okay, this right here will be our bottom ply, so we'll save that bottom, and that will go this way. And then we will do the cross ply of this, which I don't know why this is already falling off. That sucks. You want to make sure with these plies that they're going to be the right width of the mold, like this. See how that goes over and extends over the mold? That's a good thing. You don't want it to be shorter than the mold. You want it to be kind of have some overhang to it. I'll show you why later. This is going to go like that, okay? So then this will be our cross ply. And then in the middle, I might throw one of these black ones in there. Another quick note, you'll want to do 5 plies total. 5 plies is the rule. So maybe I'll go like this. Okay. And that's 3. And now that we did that, we're going to want to run another cross ply of this maple one. Let's make the quick cut. You got to be very careful when you cut this, because it can split very easily. I use scissors to cut it. It's been the most effective method. I don't know other methods, but this has been the best for me. So then now that I have this, I'm going to want to cut everything else to be the same size as this, right? There we go. Made our initial cut. And you can see it's already starting to split, even split on its own there. Got 1, 2. And I'm going to throw this in there because I think it'll give it a nice little, it'll have a nice touch, have that black layer in the middle. And maybe I'll sell this one. Maybe I'll make this be the one that I sell. Well, so we shall see. Go like that. Okay. Maybe I'll make this be a bottom ply for one of the boards because I do have another sheet of this black veneer, I believe. That's 3 of them so far. So now we'll want to run another one, make sure that's the right width. Okay. And sometimes you have to start your cut right here. Almost butchered that. Let's see if that's still the right width, because I kind of butchered it in the middle. Okay, I think I'll be safe. I'm gonna do this one on the bottom. This will look sick. This ply will look really cool on the bottom, so we'll go like that. We gotta be really careful because you can see this is already starting to split. I hope I don't split it more. It's really hard to cut wood grain. All right, there we go. Maybe this other side will look even cooler, or this side. That'll look sweet. All right, this is gonna be a rare one. Okay, if someone does want this, I'm going to put a little Shopify. I'm going to put a Shopify down below, and you will be able to purchase it. There it is. And you're going to have a nice little stack of wood that looks a little something just like this. Now, this is where it's going to get a little tricky. So, you're going to have your 1, 2, and your 3, and your 4, and I'm going to put the little 5 right here. All right, wood glue. Now, you want to make sure you do this right. The first time I ever did this, I did it completely wrong. Butchered it all. It sucked. So what I do here is to put the wood starting on the second ply, and you'll see why in a second, so that I can just layer this. And I go one little strip, and I actually will need something I didn't think about, I'm just not thinking about, is a little extra piece of veneer. Little piece like this, so you can spread the glue. So we'll go like this. We'll go 1 strip across, okay? And this is essentially how they make regular skateboards, just like on a small scale. I should just get into making skateboards. Why don't I do that? I should sack up. Quit being a bitch. Just make a skateboard, right? Yeah, dude, sack up. Just make a skateboard. What are you making these little mini skateboards for, huh? And this glue is not coming out as well as I was hoping it would. But that is okay. We will make do, folks. I want to make sure that you don't really miss edges with this. You can see how I'm doing this and like really making sure the glue gets everywhere. If you miss spots, that ends up being how these boards split, how this all kind of turns into a shit show. So you want to make sure you get enough glue on each piece. There we go. You can kind of hold the piece too as you glue it. There's not really like a right positioning for this, but you can kind of go boom, boom. You just want to make sure you cover your bases, you know. There we go. There we go. Especially this top piece. This is like it's a crucial piece. So, but you don't want to put the glue on too heavy. That's another thing. It'll warp it. You can see the veneer is already starting to warp. That means I'm starting to have too much glue on it. So you don't want to put too much, but this is not bad. It can fold twice as bad as this. Now, see how my fingers have glue on it like this? I usually try to dry up the glue. Do a little something like that. Because if you don't, you're going to get glue on your top ply. And you do not want to get glue on that top ply, because then that'll show through when you do the finish. So, this is the bottom ply. I'm sorry. I'm doing this backwards. So this is the bottom ply. So we'll go like this. Boom. Just like that. I think this is the right side, correct? Okay, cool. Now that we've got that down, I'm actually going to set our mold on top of that just so that stays temporarily while we glue this next piece. The next piece, I'm going to put glue on the bottom of it, because if I don't, then I'm going to end up making that one fold even more. So you can go like that. So see how I'm evenly spreading this out right here? I go like that. Evenly spread this out. I'll probably do like a little speed thing through this part, because I think you get the hang of it, right? So you just want to evenly spread it on each piece. All right. And then next, you're going to want to go like that. And right here, I just kind of make sure there's enough glue in the wood, but not too much. I do not sell grip tape currently. I just have like regular skateboard grip tape. I used to do this as a business when I was like 14. This was like my first business venture ever. I was making homemade fingerboards at age 14 and selling them on the internet. So you can see, look at this. You can already tell there's like the 4 pieces that are together, right? Boom, all right. You want to make sure the bottom is still looking good. Last piece, you want to put it right on top. Right here. And I'll go side by side. Look at that. Applies nice and easy. And your hands will get sticky in the process of doing this. You're going to want to go like this. Lay this piece right on top just like that. And you're going to notice that there is some glue stains right on top and right on bottom. So we're going to, before we lock it into the mold, this is ultra important. I cannot stress this enough. You have to clean that off. If you don't, it's going to stick to the top of the mold, and it's absolutely going to suck. Now, one thing I've done to kind of alleviate this is take a cold, wet rag and just kind of lightly dab at it to clean this off. But in this case, it's actually not looking too bad. This stuff can all be sanded off later. I'm going to take this, and I believe we said the top is going to be this, and the bottom will be that. So, I'm going to make sure you lay this in the bottom. Do not screw this up. Do not screw this up. You do not want your top or bottom piece to be cross-plied, by the way. It must be done so that the bottom piece is going this way, and the top piece is going that way as well. Because if you don't, then it's going to be all weird. And it's going to break. Trust me, I've done this. All right, now, you're going to take the 2 pieces, line them up just like this, like so. Make sure it's even. And once you're even, you're going to go like this. You're going to kind of hand clamp it. And this is where your good old clamp comes in. Pop this bad boy into the mold. And go like that. Get it to be tight. Here's the deal. You can see it sitting there like this. You can see it sitting there in the clamp like this. You can see it. See how it's locked in like that? We're going to let this sit overnight and come right back to the next part of this, which the next part of this process is going to be the part where we take it out and sand. So I'm going to cut right over to that, but I'll be back tomorrow. Next up, so it has been in the mold overnight like this. We're going to take it out of the mold. So it's been a good, I don't know, I'd say at least 12 hours at this point. I think 8 hours is a pretty good time to be leaving it in the mold and then before you take it out. But anyway, there you go. See, came out nice and easy just like that because I got all the glue off the bottom. What the top does, okay, it's stuck a little bit. You can see one little spot on the top right there. That is totally okay because if you have your sanding block, if you got the sanding block, you can easily just go like this, boom, sand it right off. And in most cases, it should come right off, just like that. Now, always have your handy-dandy pencil with you because what you're going to want to do here is take a tech deck. This is also a supply I don't think I mentioned earlier, but you'll need a little tech deck, something kind of shape it out. Lay it right here. Now, tech deck can be a little skinnier than you're going to want it, but the good news is that you can actually just use this as a reference, so you can make it wider if you want. So I just use this to kind of lightly draw like a quick line or two, and you know what? If it ends up being wider, great. You know, doesn't really matter. This is just, you know, all reference, so it helps you when you're making your cuts. So it'll look a little something like that. so that way you get a nice and even line around it. Now, you're going to want to sand this side and this side right now. So let's do that real quick. A quick tip that I've made a mistake with before is holding it kind of funny on here, and I kind of already started to do it where I put too much pressure on one side, then it kind of sands on an angle, and you definitely don't want that. You can kind of see my angled sanding job right here. So I'm going to want to put pressure over here so it evens that back out. But you want to make sure you get a nice straight line, so just hold it straight against this straight edge. There was a moment where the belt sander actually just like snapped. I think it was because it got old. You can see my line. If you look real quickly, you can see my line right there. I don't need to follow that exact line. I'm just going to kind of go like this. I think I need to knock this edge off first because you can see there's this little overlap right there. All right, nice. So now you can see I knocked those edges off. Now we can kind of get to the rounding off part of this. Just like a skateboard, the nose and tail are, you know, one's going to be shorter, one's going to be longer. So I think this will be the tail, this will be the nose. So, shorter, longer. I might have to get rid of my table because this part is full transparency broken off. I don't know how to fix it. There's not really like a thing that can lock it in. So you can kind of start to look at it on the bottom and see where you might have gone wrong. So right here, I think I need to bring this side in a little bit more because you can see this side's in. So maybe we'll go shave a little bit on that side. And there we go. I think that will be good for the one side. Look at that. Looks just like a regular skateboard now. Now I need to get this side, make this side longer. So let's do that. We're going to make this side even longer. So, boom. Check that out. Look at this. I think that's it. Longer, shorter. I think that's the shape. Now, you're going to notice that there's a little bit of rough edges on the side. That is okay. That is where the sanding block comes in. So you can kind of just go like this, sand it off, and then you'll see those edges kind of disappear, and you'll see stuff get more rounded off. My mic glitch right here, but anyway, what I like to do is put the tech deck back on top of it here, and then I use this little mini clamp and clamp it so it stays centered. The audio you heard prior to this voiceover will come back right after this. But anyway, this is the countersink 1/16 bit. This is what makes it so I can drill the holes all the way through. I don't even countersink it at first. I actually just hand drill a lot of these. So I take this bit and I go like that through each of these holes. I'll speed through this, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here. Now, after I do the lacquer, I'm going to drill through the rest of these, but you get the concept of how the holes are drilled, right? You can even just use a drill if you want. I just go the slow way. I'm going to actually dip it in the lacquer, hang it. I won't be able to come back to it for probably another 4 or 5 hours till the lacquer like dries up on it. So with that said, once I come back, I'll show you guys how I countersink the bits, and then after that, it should be a wrap. So all I do is I go like this. I go, boom, splash it in there. And you can see when you pull it out, it already has that nice shiny look to it. And it looks nice, but you gotta let it drip. You gotta let all the drips go off of it. Because if you don't, that's how you get the drips on the end. So you wanna make sure it quits dripping after a while. And see, the top looks really nice too. Look at that. I'm gonna actually do 2 coats of this lacquer. This is just the coat number 1. I'm actually gonna sand it down. Once this lacquer dries, I'm gonna sand it down and get rid of any rough edges that may have appeared through letting it dry or anything that like shouldn't be there. So that's why I'm doing 1 coat, come back, and then drill the holes all the way through, and then give it another coat after that, and then I'll just kind of drill through to make sure the holes are fine. Now, I'm going to go like this and hang it just like this. I'm going to hang it this way. At this point, it's going to look like it's done. It's going to look nice and shiny. Going to look pretty good, but you can, if you look close enough, you can kind of see there's like some edges that need some roughening up and some last minute touches, some stuff where it dried unevenly, etc. Same thing goes for the back. You can tell some of the spots kind of missed it. So we're going to take sandpaper or sanding block and just lightly sand it down and actually throw it back into polyurethane. All right, and you can see some of those rough edges already coming off. A nice light little sanding. This will ultimately do the job that we need it to. Go on the top, do the same thing. And let's dip it right back in. Make sure all the crumbs, everything is off of this so we can get a nice little finish on it. Look like that. Alright, let's let the drips go. Looks really nice. Let's get this hung up and come back to this tomorrow. When we come back to this, we'll do some countersinking, alright? Alrighty, folks, now the board is all finished up. And this is where I pull this part of it out, and I go ahead and check it for any like blemishes or anything like that. There's only one teeny spot where the poly kind of gathered up, but you don't even notice it. It doesn't affect how it's used. Like I said, if someone does want to buy this particular one, you are welcome to. I'll put it up on that website, but it's kind of got the it's got this nice wooden finish on the bottom, and the top has a different style wood on it. I have a bunch of different styles of wood, so if you want a specific color, a specific thing, let me know. I have like some rose woods over here. I have zebra wood, different finishes. I'll try to like, maybe I'll just try to like put what I can out there, and then if you want to buy whatever, you'll see it on the site as is. So normally I actually would use a compact drill. Right here is just like a standard cheap drill. I think it's like a $30 cheap drill. But normally I'd be using a compact driver. Compact driver's not with me right now, so I'm just going to use this. Now, countersinking. If you look at this drill close enough, you can see this part right here where it's beyond the actual bit. This is what does the countersinking. So this is a 1/16 countersink bit. It's a very specific bit. I drill all the way through till I get to that part and let the holes get bigger on top. I have to countersink it so that those little mini fingerboard screws fit, because otherwise those screws sit on top right here and they don't actually end up fitting. Uh-oh, my drill's dying. I'll just give you a quick example because the drill's dying and I cannot find this drill's charger right now. But I'll complete this countersink before I finish it, obviously. But see how it's making the holes area bigger on top? So you actually want to go like this so that all 4 holes look like that. You see how the holes are bigger now? So then you want to flip the other side and do the exact same thing. That's a really good example of it right there. So I appreciate anyone who made it to the end of this video, and maybe my tutorial helped you. I really hope it did. This is about as good as the tutorial is ever going to get for this. I went through all the steps. There's a couple things you can interchange here and there. I'll put all the line items down in the description below. That way, if one thing doesn't work, you have the other for things that can be interchanged at least. If you're new here, my name is Max. I'm 29. I post a bunch of like skate content, and I post random stuff I do in my life as well. So if you enjoyed the vibes, thought this was a fun video, feel free to stick around and hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace.